Hello, everybody. My name is Dylan Kelly, and today we're going to talk about a subject that you likely didn't expect to talk about, and that is going to be aquarium fish. Why on earth would we, in a Persuasion COM 303 course, be talking about aquarium fish? For starters, let's talk about some statistics. Did you know that on average, 66% of American households have a pet? Did you know that the top 3 pet is an aquarium fish? That's right, the third most popular pet in America is an aquarium fish. Most of us probably have some experience with either a betta fish or a goldfish that we won at the fair, and a lot of us kept them for a couple of months. They didn't do so well because we didn't know what we were supposed to do with them, and then we never kept fish again. Some of us, like me, grew up with them. My father, for as long as I can remember, always had a running fish tank in the house. All throughout my life, he kept all sorts of things. Angelfish, plecos, silver dollars, bala sharks, a lot of the things that you saw popular in the hobby in the 70s and 80s. Nowadays, with access to the internet, overseas shipments, and things like Aquabid, which is essentially aquarium fish eBay, you can also buy aquarium fish on eBay, and Amazon now, oddly enough. But with access to all that, as an adult, I learned a ton about the hobby. So I kept fish up until I was about 17. I left for the military, straight out of high school, and at one point I had about a dozen tanks in my bedroom. As an adult, my record's 120 running aquariums at once, all with fish in them. I run the YouTube channel, Veteran Aquatics. It's about 5,500 subscribers. I no longer actively make content. I'm down to 1 fish tank for the moment being, because of the place that I live. But I also bred and sold aquarium fish for about 3 years. I would go to local fish shows. I would go to local fish club and aquarium club events and swap meets, and I would do it that way. And I did very well. It can be very lucrative if done correctly and with experience. So before we go any further, those of you that maybe have the more limited experience with fish, which is going to be most of you, I want you to go to Google, and in Google I want you to type in cichlid. So it's going to be CICHLID. What you're going to find coming up is such a diverse and beautiful species of fish, or, well, I guess it would be an entire genus. I'm not sure how the scientific naming works, but there are a ton of different species of cichlid. So there are African cichlids, Old World cichlids, and South and Central American cichlids, or New World cichlids, both of which are very different. They have different care requirements, different water requirements, and they act pretty differently. But they're some of the most beautiful fish on the planet, and likely ones you've not seen unless you've been somewhere besides Petco and PetSmart. Fun fact, living in Pennsylvania, Lancaster has one of the largest, if not the largest, pet store in the United States. That pet place, or that fish place. They also have a dedicated freshwater and saltwater fish room. So if you're ever in the area and want to go see something fun, go and check that out. They also have a Stingray touch tank, and it'll give you a much more in-depth understanding of some of the things the hobby has to offer. There are thousands upon thousands of species of fish, and each one of them has little nuances to them. But most people just simply aren't aware of the depth of this hobby and how cool some of these things can be to keep. Some of the reason that I'm talking about fish today, apart from how amazing the hobby in and of itself is, are the benefits of keeping an aquarium. What do you mean there are benefits? For starters, aquariums have been shown to help relieve anxiety, depression, and they can also help with patients that are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So, Veteran Aquatics, I am a veteran. I served 4 years active duty in the United States Marine Corps. I do not have post-traumatic stress disorder. I've never been diagnosed with it. I've never assumed that I had it. However, I do very much care about what happens to veterans returning from home. So even prior to this class, one of the goals I had with Veteran Aquatics was to bring more information to everybody in terms of how easy it can be to keep these fish and shrimp. There are freshwater shrimp you can keep, crabs, there are freshwater crabs, plants, snails, all sorts of cool stuff that you just don't see at Petco. But one of the things that was most important to me was trying to help people through the hobby. And the way that I learned about it is simply having an aquarium, watching it, viewing the fish as they're swimming through the water and or eating or however they're reacting is very therapeutic. And given something to care for and something that they needed to upkeep and something that was stress relieving versus stress inducing, helped a lot. And just as somebody with a high anxiety, it was always calming to me to walk into the fish room. Yes, with 120 aquariums ranging from 5 gallons to 220 gallons, I had a 2-car garage full of fish tanks. So apart from, the therapeutic benefits, they're simply beautiful. A larger tank can be an art piece. Aquascaping is a thing. It's creating aquatic landscapes with an artistic style and view, and there are some incredibly amazing aquascapers. It's just simply stunning, the underwater environments that these people can create with some rocks, sticks, and glue. So that's another interesting aspect of the hobby. It's almost underwater gardening at that point, underwater landscaping. It's absolutely amazing. So if you're an artistic person, it's another outlet for you to work on your creativity and working on perceiving the natural state of things. So we're going to go over some basic aquarium fish care, and for that we're going to use a betta fish. We're going to use a betta fish because it is the most commonly kept species of aquarium fish, and most people have had one or know somebody that has had one. Most of us experienced 6 months to a year with them before they passed away in their little bowl. That's because bettas can't live in a bowl. Petco and PetSmart and many other large retailers, and even many small ones, still put bettas in cups and little dishes and sell them that way because they do have the ability to get oxygen from the air. However, that is not how they're supposed to be kept. Betta fish require at least a 5-gallon aquarium minimum and must be kept without other betta fish. They also get the name Siamese fighting fish because, well, they'll fight until one of them is no more. So they need this 5-gallon tank. This 5-gallon tank has to have an appropriate sized filter, an appropriate sized heater, one that will heat the tank to between 76 and 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and a lid, because betta fish are notorious jumpers. And with that, you will find that these betta fish can live 3-4 years sometimes. And it's truly amazing how much better they do once they're outside of those bowls. Now, I'm not saying you can't keep a betta fish in a bowl, but you shouldn't. A lot of things can live, but not thrive, right? We're not trying to get fish to survive. We want them to thrive. We want everything to thrive. They're our pets. We love them. A lot of times we'll deal with myths and misinformation. So the biggest one, and one that I can tell you with absolute certainty is absolutely false, is the fish will only grow to the size of its tank. That is not true. Sometimes what will happen is the fish will just get stressed out and pass. Other times what will happen is the bodily growth of the fish will be stunted, but their organs will not stop growing. You can guess what happens. That fish also passes. So when it comes to choosing the appropriate aquarium fish for yourself, the first thing you need to do is research. Now, one of my favorite locations for research is aquariumcoop.com. They have a blog weekly with tons of great helpful articles, a YouTube channel with all the same. You can also find some on mine, although again, I do not actively make content anymore. And they also provide a lot of the aquarium supplies that they sell. As a small business owner regarding aquariums, I did very well. So I hope you all learned something about aquarium fish that you didn't know. I hope you learned that it's a fun and diverse hobby that is very, very open. Maybe even learned a little bit more about taking care of them.